Sometimes labels fail. Chapter 6. Let the child sleep. For the next 3 days, Virgil was a human hot potato. He was relentlessly tossed back and forth between a gaggle of cops, attorneys, and social workers. He wasn't sure what strings Bluebird and the doctor had tugged on, but they were certainly effective because not only was he being taken out of that house, but criminal charges were being thrown at Harry like they were eggs, and he was the local high school's principal's car on Halloween. Like, shit, is this how the system was supposed to work? Oh gosh, I love this. I love the mental image this just gave me.
Yeah, that's
He was
pretty
grateful.
cool.
He was grateful for everything all these people were doing, even as he chafed under the pointed attention he was receiving. But he was utterly exhausted by this point, and sore from the bullet wound none of them knew about, and he really wanted to collapse into a bed, any bed. Instead, he had to settle on leaning his head on the table in front of him and taking long, slow blinks that may or may not have constituted mini power naps. Virgil, a voice said, and he just about jumped out of his chair. He looked up at a social worker, Bev, he was pretty sure. Logan Sanders is here. Virgil squinted at her. Your temporary foster father, she prompted, inclining her head slightly at the man next to her. Oh, right. That had been a conversation they'd had. Emergency fostering while the investigation was taking place. Two guys, something about a university nearby. He'd zoned out pretty hard. He hopped to his feet in a panic, because no one wanted to deal with a kid who was too lazy to even peel his butt off a chair to greet them, even if they'd only had to deal with them temporarily. Hello, sir. It's nice to meet you. Likewise, he responded, his lips turning up in the corners enough to soften the harshness of his face. And Logan will suffice. He offered a hand, and Virgil shook it. After a brief conversation between Logan and the social worker that Virgil mostly tuned out, he was ushered over to the man's custody and led to a parking garage. He was ushered into the front seat of a nice, but not too flashy car. I'll buy us lunch on the way, he told Virgil once he'd started the car. Any preferences? No, thank you, Virgil replied. You don't have to. Well, I'm going to, he said. Anything is fine. All right. He pulled out of the parking garage and they drove for a bit more than 5 minutes before they pulled into a small parking lot of some place called the Hideout. They have the drive-through. But would you mind going inside so you can see the menu? He asked. Sure. Despite feeling like he could collapse from exhaustion at any second while they walked into the cafe, he was glad he agreed because the place smelt amazing, like roasted coffee and really good bread. Something about the place made him want to relax, even though there were people around. Maybe the soft lights or the elevator music in the background. Maybe it was just that none of the people there even glanced at them when they walked in, just kept their heads stuck in laptops, books, or notebooks, like there was an underwritten rule to mind their own business in the building. The man at the till looked at them when they approached. Hello, Professor, he greeted. Virgil paused. Oh, that's why the social security worker had been talking with the university. Oh God, if he was a professor, he wasn't going to be happy with Virgil's D average, was he? Virgil's shoulders curled in. He wasn't looking forward to that conversation. And whatever Virgil would like. Logan had finished ordering while Virgil was lost in thought. He hadn't even glanced at the menu yet. Uh, do you have any suggestions? He asked Logan. He hummed, thankfully, not seeming angry that Virgil couldn't perform the basic task of ordering off a menu. Do you prefer turkey or roast beef? He asked. Turkey, Virgil replied. Logan turned back to the cashier. Then make that two of the turkey, he said. The cashier's eyes were bobbing curiously between Logan and Virgil, but he didn't ask any questions. Virgil shrunk into his hoodie anyway. Would you like some coffee or tea? Logan asked him. I would kill a man for a cup of coffee, slipped out before Virgil could stop it. Damn, Virgil, you had one coffee date with Remy. Logan chuckled at him. All right, he said. How do you take it? And if he was going to give him positive reinforcements for being a little shit, as black as my soul. I see, he said, turning back to the cashier. You heard him. One glass. I can't read this with a straight face. You heard him. One glass of milk. Hey! The cashier bit his lip, and Logan flashed a half smile. I really do drink black coffee, Virgil mumbled. Then two black coffees cancel the milk. Logan, you little shit. Although Patton probably would have done the same thing.
Uh-huh.
The cashier told them the total, and gee, that was a lot of money for someone to pay for lunch for him. But Logan didn't even blink as he handed over 20 and a 5. You get chips with a sandwich, Logan told him and spun a dolly with chips to grab a bag of salt and vinegar ones. Virgil grabbed a bag of plain ones and then followed him to a nice secluded corner. Pat and I come here often, Logan explained, setting out the little number so someone could find them with their food. Virgil figured he had probably been told who Patton was one of the times he'd been asleep when his eyes opened the past couple of days. His husband? Virgil wondered. He had a ring on, and he knew he was staying with 2 men, so it was likely. It's within walking distance of the hospital and the campus, but it's far enough away from the university that I don't get interrupted by students who see me and want to ask me questions that are already answered on the syllabus. Do you enjoy being a professor? He asked. I do. It's quite a rewarding career path between getting to teach and being able to research. You do research? Yes. I'm working on using stochastic differential equations to model certain physical phenomena at the moment. That sounds, he paused, hard. It can be. I always liked math and science, but I'm not really good at it. He said. As someone who was taught for many years, I found that an inability to perform to standard in such subjects often has more to do with circumstance, past teachers, higher priority responsibilities, and home life. His eyes lingered on him for a moment too long, and Virgil squirmed. Of course, he had to know something about the situation considering the ongoing investigation thing, but Virgil did wonder how much. Then, with innate ability, he finished. Yeah, maybe, Virgil said, even while he didn't truly agree. Virgil was pretty stupid. Perhaps I can help you. What classes are you taking? Remedial everything. For math and science? Pre-algebra and earth science. I'm also in freshman English and band. That's it. Ah, yes, the high school does the block schedule, Logan said. Then he gave a curious head tilt. I thought you were a sophomore. Virgil looked away. Uh, yeah. He could feel his cheeks start to burn. I see. There was a pause as Logan processed just how stupid Virgil was. And what instrument do you play? Virgil breathed a sigh of relief. At least there was something he wasn't a complete failure at. Clarinet. I'm a flute, babe. Reed instruments, my age-old foe. He said it so seriously that Virgil couldn't help but snort. Last a few battles with them? Have you ever attempted to play the oboe? He spat the name like it was a curse. I have, in fact, Virgil laughed, and Logan smiled at him in an oddly warm way. An employee came over with their food then. They continued talking while they ate, though Logan talked a lot more since Virgil was preoccupied with shoveling the sandwich down his throat. Almost definitely looking like a rabid animal. It was a really good sandwich. He slipped the bag of chips into his hoodie pocket for later and drank the coffee while Logan went about actually chewing his food. The caffeine helped a bit, but he certainly didn't feel completely awake when they walked back to the car. Logan didn't seem to mind when Virgil just set his head against the window and mentally drifted during the car ride. Eventually, they pulled into a driveway and Virgil sat up to blink at the house at the end of it. Then he blinked again. Did I, he said slowly, just get legally kidnapped? Ah, Logan said. That would be an astute observation. Huh. Is that all right? He asked. Virgil turned to see him watching him carefully. Patton can be rather, exuberant. I mean, this might as well happen. He was far too tired to deal with figuring out how he felt about this. He remembered he'd really, really wanted it for a moment before he quashed those feelings after the doctor, Patton he presumed, had first suggested it. He didn't know how he felt about it now that it was actually happening and didn't have the energy to deal with it. I can take you back, Logan offered quietly, and an uncomfortable, squirmy feeling in his chest cut through the dullness for a moment at the thought. At any point if you're uncomfortable with the arrangement. I'm fine, he said quickly. This is, like, a lot, and I'm really tired, but it's fine, I think. Okay, Logan said. Can I please sleep for a bit, though? He asked. Logan's eyes softened. Of course. Patton prepared your room for you in the last few days. We'll get a few other things for it later. I would take a sleeping bag in the basement at this point. Logan briefly pressed his hand to Virgil's shoulder before he got out of the car. Wow, Virgil thought, his shoulder still warm to the touch. There was, of course, no assurance that this would actually be an ultimately good thing, he reminded himself, but wow. I am just going to die of absolute cute. I love the fact that pulled up to the house. Wait a second.
I recognize this house.
Like, I just got legally kidnapped. Kidnapping is just handed you to them, though.
He consented.
Although I'm sure Patton's is just waiting for them to come out of the car, just like dancing at the door like Missy, just like, yeah, they're here.
That's very cute. Probably accurate. So that's the end of those 6 chapters.
There better be more.
Oh, there's
besides the side stories, there better be more.
Oh, there's a lot more.
Yes.
There's so much more that I have not read it all yet. I have read a lot of pieces of it, but I have not read the whole thing yet.
I fucking loved Remy's sass.
Yeah, I love that nurse so much. One of the other pieces of this in this universe is Remy and Virgil's coffee date.
Yes.
So,
although I am hoping that that once like he saw the house, he's just like, oh, so maybe like that, because like now he knows what Logan's identity is and what Patton's identity is. So he's like,
yes.
Oh, so that's what that nurse was talking about.
I don't think he connected those dots. No.
Yeah, probably not. But it would be a really cool thought, considering the fact that Patton's a doctor, Remy's a nurse. Chances are they work in the same hospital. They might know each other.
Mm-hmm. Well, he does get to meet Patton's coworkers before too long, so he gets to hang out with Remy more.
Yes.
Fabulous.
There's no better combination for chaos than anxiety and sleep.
I love them. They are so good. Remy is the best chaos uncle.
Yes, he is. He's just that chill ass uncle in the corner, just like, what the hell's going on here? Oh, this, and you didn't do anything. I was supposed to. But yes, Remy, chaos enabler.
Thank you for listening to us read Sometimes Labels Fail. We had a lot of fun, and we're going to keep reading more of this. So tune in next time for more of this awesome series.
Woo!
Bye.
Bye.